All right, you guys, it is officially time to start getting ready for our summer garden. In this video, I'm gonna show you not only how to plant beans, but how to prepare your in-ground garden and your raised bed for planting in the summer. So let's not waste any time and let's get into it.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Garden with Najette. Today, I will be transforming my raised bed and in-ground garden so we can get ready for summer. As you can see, there are many kohlrabi and turnips in this raised bed. The issue is that many of the root vegetables did not form proper bulbs and started bolting, which means they shoot upwards and start to flower. The reason that these started bolting is because when I planted them in the fall, they became stunted over the winter, did not form proper bulbs, and when the weather became warm in the spring, they immediately started bolting. A good time to plant these root vegetables would have been in early February since this is a cool weather crop. Here you can see a very small stunted turnip and then red Russian kale. You can see that I'm ripping out the veggies one by one and that they have formed a net of roots. Since the top layer of roots are so compacted, I like to break up the soil with a shovel and then go in with my hands to break everything apart and turn over the soil. I always say that in gardening, your hands are going to be your best tool. Once the soil is broken up, I like to go in with an organic fertilizer to add nutrients back into the soil. I also allow the dead leaves to decompose, that way there's additional nutrient benefits since they gradually break down over time. And this is what the raised bed looks like now that everything is broken up. I left the red Russian kale in, but I'm not really sure what I will be replacing in this raised bed just quite yet. And this is my official harvest. I have two little baby kohlrabis and then one little baby turnip. And I'll be doing a rice dinner tonight with them. I'll show you the final results here in a second. All right, you guys, here's the finished look. We have sweet chili glazed carrots, we have the garlic roasted kohlrabi and turnips, and then the garlic seared broccolini from the garden. And this is all on top of a bed of mashed potatoes. The Yorkshire puddings are still in the oven, but they're kind of scaring me, to be honest. But yeah, so this is it. I did make a video on my raised bed recently, but I just want to show everybody an update of the carrots, radishes, and potatoes that are growing in the raised bed. And I also just put an additional layer of potatoes in the raised bed. In this portion of the garden, I have started overturning the soil as well with just a shovel in my foot. I usually dig the shovel deep into the ground and then flip the soil over. That way I can get rid of it and pull out any type of weeds, and that way it'll just get the soil prepared for whatever I'm planting in next. I also make sure to take the shovel and basically break up the soil, and then I get down onto my hands and knees and I break up the soil with my hands as well. Here I'm just showing you a new broccoli plant that is forming and my several pea plants. This one is a little disfigured, but the other two look like they're doing really good. And then this is my large pea plant that I planted last fall that survived through the winter. This is my broccolinis and my other broccoli plant. I'm just giving a slight little garden tour. I'm about to rip out the Swiss chard in the back, and then this is like the third broccoli plant. Oh, and here is Mizuna, which is a type of mustard green. And here is the final result now that the soil is broken up. It's important to remember to treat your soil once it is broken up with a balanced organic fertilizer that's rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And I always add a bag of mushroom compost to the soil as well. And you can slightly see the two rows that I'm implementing for lima beans. This is exactly where the lima beans are gonna go. And let's get into the bean portion of this video. This year, I'm going to be planting royal burgundy, asparagus beans, two different types of black eyed peas, lima beans, and then Cherokee wax. Growing instructions are always on the back of your seed packets, but I've created specially designed charts that show you all of the growing requirements for over 75 different vegetable and fruit varieties on allthingsgirly.org, so don't forget to check that out. Here, you can see different bean varieties, germination rate, harvest time, row spacing, and sunlight requirements. Pole beans can grow up to 12 feet tall. These beans have runners, much like cucumbers and melons, that vine and climb upwards. Since these beans climb upwards, they need a tall trellis to support the plant. These beans tend to have a longer harvest time, around 70 to 85 days, and they thrive throughout the season. They can be more disease resistant due to the ample sunlight and drier leaves when the plant grows upwards. Bush beans remain compact and bushy. These beans can grow upwards of 2 feet but generally remain about 1 foot off the ground. Bush beans do tend to have a shorter production time and are available to harvest between 40 and 60 days after planting. Unlike pole beans, bush beans have a shorter production period, which makes them good for succession planting. This means that the plant will produce beans for a period of 2 to 3 weeks, and then the plant will slowly die and no longer produce. Once this happens, we can succession plant, which means ripping out these plants and adding new ones in place of them. When this is done, it's important to not overuse the soil and maintain its nutrients with organic fertilizers and compost to keep the nutrient levels high. I'm first going in with my lima beans. I'm direct sowing them because since I have clay soil, this type of soil holds moisture extremely well, so it's easy for my seeds to germinate. I have spaced my rows about 1.5 feet apart and my seeds about 3 to 4 inches apart from each other. I planted each seed about 1 inch deep, and I'm just going to lightly cover them just by throwing some soil back on top of it. All right, you guys, here's the final look. What do you think? In the other area of the garden, you can see I've created another row. This portion is where I'm going to be planting my Royal Burgundy and Yellow Cherokee wax beans. I'm using the same exact process and spacing requirements I did with the lima beans. I do want to mention that my space is limited and I am going to be planting these beans a little close together. And that is pretty much it, you guys. Most of the varieties I planted are going to be a bush bean since I'm working in a compact space, and a few ones that trellis. So we shall see about that. Those are the beginning trellises that I have. I really appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and head on over to allthingsgirly.org for gardening tips and more.